first they renovate the Jesuits. Obviously they couldn't kill Covenbach, so Covenbach himself is a little bit too much of a manipulator and will not have been so killable. While instead I have a couple of doubts on the sudden death of Andrew Berti, especially after just a few weeks after the election of the new Superior General, because he was in quite good conditions. He participated to all the latest diplomatic meetings of the Knights of Malta with various heads of states and things like this, so it came to me as a strange news. Though I'm not anymore in that circle, I can't confirm or not if there has been some kind of murder behind the scenes. But in the Vatican that's very highly possible, you know, to change somebody.
Are you still in touch with some of the people that you knew, some of the members that were close to you back then?
Yeah, some people, very few though, have the courage to still... I have actually even a Masonic obedience in Italy, which is called Grande Oriente Italiano di Piazza del Gesù, which is not connected in any way with what I was doing prior. They invited me to participate to a lodge meeting on the 10th of January in Rome. So I basically, for the first time after 2 years, participated to a Masonic lodge meeting in a lodge that invited an anti-Mason, or at least somebody who is perceived as such by the majority of Masons. But for people, why they did that? Because their own obedience is not corrupt. It's not fearing. They had contacts with the Jesuits, with Padre Caprile in the 70s, the Grand Master prior to that. They've always been, this is a Scottish Rite system, so they have a tradition which is obviously of quite linked to the Vatican in some way, especially because they are Grande Oriente Italiano di Piazza del Gesù, which was specifically linked with the Vatican. But at least they had the courage to invite me in a fraternal way to a lodge. Instead they didn't do what the Grand Lodge of Maine did, which to write a whole page full of rubbish on me and accuse me of being this and that.
Okay, but they invited you. What purpose would you have in going?
I went. I can show you pictures later.
But I understand. But what did you hope to accomplish?
What I do is to talk openly about what is, for example, the Jesuit influence upon the Scottish Rite, which is an historical influence, which this goes back 3 centuries, so it's interesting under also an historical point of view to discuss with them the influence of the Vatican upon certain branches of Freemasonry, to open their minds against what is the New World Order, trying to discuss and find if there is a way of dialogue. Now, for example, there was in this lodge, the Garibaldi Lodge, some very interesting people, also some intelligence members from the Italian intelligence. But we gathered together, we had a great laugh, a great dinner after, where we talked about Le Brigidine, the order of...
And they're not necessarily all corrupt. Isn't this right? I mean, some of them must be genuine.
What I did is this. Instead of participating to a Rite meeting, Rite, what is the Rite? The Rite is every meeting from the 4th degree onwards to the 33. That is the Rite. Then you have the Order, which is the first 3 degree. In reality, a Freemason can't be more than a Master Mason. The higher degree is the 3rd. And for me, keeping it simple and down to those 3 degrees, actually it's still possible for me to go in a lodge and not practice anything that I can recall as satanic. Okay, you have the death and rebirth myth of Hiram Abiff, but that is like Osiris, is a kind of death rebirth myth that goes on from ancient times. So the Mason is made to believe is Hiram Abiff, is killed, is then resurrected by the Masons there, is given the various grips, the various signs to recognize himself with other Masons worldwide. But when you enter then the Rite, for me the Scottish Rite is corrupt. I say that. Why? Because part of the degrees have been created by the Jesuits. The York Rite is corrupt. Why? Because part of the degrees have been created by the Zionists, other parts of the degrees have been created by corrupt people close to the Catholic, but also close to the Anglican Church for various reasons. And so at the end, universal Freemason is not really universal.